Welcome to Codex History of Video Games. I'm Mike Coletta, and we are taking this week off. It is 4th of July in the United States. It's a holiday, and we just couldn't find time to record this weekend. And also, I don't know if it's being picked up in the recording, but my neighborhood sounds like a Call of Duty level. So recording wouldn't have gone that great to begin with. We'll go right back to normal next week, but for now, enjoy a re-release of Episode 2. And we'll see you next week. Bye. Welcome to Codex, a history of video games. I am Mike Coletta.
And my name is Tyler Osby.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Episode 2. We're in it.
We're in it deep now.
The first episode, yeah, right. We fully committed.
Yeah, we're in now. We're past the arcade or the pinball machines.
We're in video games. We're getting started right now. So we did pinball machines, and we did a little bit about Space War and MIT and the Magnavox Odyssey. And now, here's the big reveal. And we're going to start with a man named Nolan Bushnell.
Man of many talents.
Man of many talents. He was born in Clearfield, Utah in 1943.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
That is a long time ago. Again, this all starts way earlier than I think it does in my head. Like for some reason with video games, I just thought it would be like late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, it's like, well, all the good ones start in the 80s. There's no good games before the 80s, so why do we even...
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You know what? So anyway, in 1983, just jump ahead and all the research we've done. Oh, again, we're going off of The Ultimate History of Video Games by Stephen Kent. That is the book we're using. So if you want to read along with us, you can do that too.
Yep. So
he was born a Mormon, but he left the church when he was young, but he still speaks fondly of Utah and of Mormonism. And he's a real go-getter, this guy.
Oh, man. Well, because when his dad died in 1958, he was 15 years old. His dad was like a construction foreman or construction dude.
Yeah.
He was running a bunch of construction projects. And when he died, Nolan Bushnell was like, all right, I got this. And he finished all of those projects that were still in flight.
Yeah, he was 15 years old.
Which is pretty nuts.
Apparently he said he was 6 feet tall when he was 15 years old, though, so he looked like an adult man.
Yeah.
But he was just a boy.
Can command respect.
That's right, when you're a tallman.
It's important to be Nolan Tallman Bushnell.
That's right, that's the thing he goes by. Oh, one of his friends described him as having the attention span of a golden retriever, which I thought was really funny.
Is that a lot? Or...
I mean, I don't know how much of an attention span a golden retriever has, but it can't be much.
No.
It's got to be like, there's a tree, and then there's a fire hydrant, and then there's another dog. It's going to be like that.
I was hiding under your porch because I love you.
If it's similar to the attention span of my dog, it's nothing.
It's not. If it's a Luna, if they said he had the attention span of Luna, the Wonder Dog, then it is not a lot. In 1962, he enrolled in the University of Utah, and his freshman term paper he wrote about the philosophy for an interesting existence. And I thought this was cool. He stressed like everyone needs a constant needs for change and wanderlust in their life.
Wow.
So I think if I recall in the book, it said he wanted to like do something new every 3 years.
Wow.
Because he said it just took you 3 years to get in the 90th percentile of whatever you're doing. And then you could spend the rest of your life trying to get that 10 more percent. But he would rather just start something new.
And get to 90%.
And get to 90% of that and then try, which I think is a really interesting mindset. And I think you see that in what we're going to talk about today. So, do you want to talk about how he lost his tuition money?
He's a gambling man, Nolan Bushnell.
Yeah.
Likes to take risks. Some of those would pay off for him. Some of those would not. Like when he took his tuition money into a poker game and lost it. Lost all of it.
Lost everything. And then what did he do?
Well, then he started working at Lagoon, which is a Salt Lake City amusement park, and he ran the arcade games there.
Yeah. He also worked in the electromechanical arcade. Because at this time, it was pinball.
Right.
And then those like shooting games. And I think he also worked in like the classic midway of like throw milk jugs, like throw balls at milk jugs and knock them down.
Still exists today.
Down the clown, if you will.
Yep.
Those kind of things.
Shooting basketballs.
That's right. While at University of Utah, he got into computer science, which is interesting because at the time in 1968, the University of Utah was one of the best schools in the country in computer science.
Wow.
I think there was in the book they mentioned it like MIT, Utah, and then like some university in Michigan was just like a random that also had computer science. But first, just by chance, he fell into computer science.
Wow. And this was still at the time when computers were gigantic. Like, people weren't thinking about how they were going to use them in their home. They were thinking, how can we use this at all? And so I think it's really interesting that folks that got into computer science back then, because they must have seen something that the rest of people didn't.
Yeah. Like he just saw something, like saw what these were. Because I think if a person in the 50s walked into one of those giant rooms and saw just this thing whirring that he had, and it was shooting out numbers, they'd be like, shoots out numbers.
Yeah,
like, what
you
is
put
this?
in numbers and you get other numbers out.
I don't understand. Yeah, but he must have foreseen something, and he learned to program in Fortran.
That's a really old programming language.
Yeah, you were the one that told me. I didn't know anything about it, but it was created by IBM in the 1950s.
Yeah, that's a long.
And then Gotran. There was 2 languages, Fortran and Gotran.
I don't know anything about Gotran.
And Fortran sounds too much like 4chan. It's bothering me every time I say it.
Nope.
But he got inspired while at the University of Utah because he played Space War.
Space War! Space War!
And he was really into the game to the point where he started like hacking it and changing it around. And he would like alter it. And he actually remade Space War as a coin-operated machine.
Really?
That's how this all started. He actually took Stephen Russell's game and turned it into a coin-operated arcade game.
A game that could make money.
It can make a little bit of money, yeah. But he also created other games. He created a tic-tac-toe game, and then he created a game called Fox and Geese.
Tell me about Fox and Geese.
Okay, Fox and Geese is great. So the fox is a circle. The geese are X's. And I think it was 6 geese to 1 fox. And you play as the fox. And your goal is to slowly surround and take out 1 goose at a time, because if 3 geese surround you, they can kill you. So it's like a weird strategy game. And the geese were always programmed to like go to the side you're on and try to trap you. So it was one of the first games he created. Really weird fox and geese combo, though.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I can think of the other animal combos for that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. He built the computer. Oh, this is kind of interesting about this. So when he was trying to turn Space War into a coin-operated machine, he built a computer in an arcade cabinet first. And that cost way too much money.
Because computers could do anything.
Yeah, it was just like he built a computer inside this thing that could do anything you wanted it to. And then he realized it would be way cheaper if you just put in a board that ran just the game. He's the one that had the idea for your classic arcade, which is just a board in a machine.
Yeah. And those would later be general purpose computers that ran just one game. But at the time, you could do a lot of programming. You didn't need a microprocessor to do a lot of the programming that you were doing back in those days. You would literally take the components that did what you want them to do and just wire them up so that they did what you wanted them to do.
Isn't that part of that transistor to transistor thing that you know a lot about that I'm confused by?
I don't know if I know a lot about it. But
you know more than I do.
Well, I'll do my best.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Yeah, that's right. And but he partnered up. He took this machine and partnered up with a guy named Bill Nutting of Nutting Associates, this guy was already kind of working in the coin-op business. Like he was kind of trying to do pinball and other stuff like that.
Yep.
And he built a cabinet of Space War, and he renamed it Computer Space, because that's what people did back then.
Right, you just take somebody else's thing
and
then
it changed a little bit. And he showed it at the 1971 Music Operators Association conference. And it didn't go well.
Why didn't it go well?
Because it was just too expensive, and it had a gigantic instruction booklet. Like,
you had to read the instruction booklet like to play it?
Yeah, it's like if they were like, okay, Dark Souls the arcade game, come up to this arcade game and read this instruction booklet on how to play, and then try to play. It was like that.
Oh man.
So it didn't do very well. It actually did really well at the bar they put it in on the Stanford campus called the Dutch Goose. Yeah.
Smarty Pants are.
Exactly. Yeah. And they were really into it, but they also wanted to have, they had students, they had a lot of time on their hands, a lot of quarters to burn. Yep. So they played it. But as far as marketing it towards the public went, it didn't go very well.
Yeah, bummer.
Yeah. And as a result of that, the Nutting Associates company went bankrupt.
R.I.P. Nutting Associates.
I know. Sorry. It's just a weird name for a company.
It just
is. It's just a really odd, like it's the elephant in the room right now, and I feel weird saying it, and we're gonna move on. But then this actually made Bushnell want to make his own company, right, Tyler?
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wanted to call that Syzygy. Is that how you say that word?
Syzygy. Yeah.
Syzygy,
I think so.
Syzygy. And that means a straight line configuration of 3 celestial bodies, also known as a solar eclipse.
That is one example of a syzygy.
Yeah, there's a lot. I guess you could say anything, like any 3 planets is a syzygy. But an example you see here is a solar eclipse. That is the moon, the sun, the earth.
Yep.
Yeah, nailed it. Astronomy,
Boom.
thinking things through, crushing it.
He realized that was a dumb name.
Yeah, he did, because it was a candle company.
Whoops.
So what did they do, Tyler?
They called it Atari.
And we're here.
Yes!
We finally made it. Atari, by the way, is the Japanese word for check in chess.
Oh.
So yeah. So
Okay.
if you wanted to check someone, you'd say Atari. It is a really cool way to find a company name.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yep.
So you want to tell us a little bit of how Atari started?
Yeah, so Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney. Dabney's like an engineer at a company called Ampex that Bushnell brought into Nutting Associates. So he was a Nutting Associate
Kind of
homie.
stole him away.
Yeah. So they incorporated Atari on June 27th, 1972. The initial investment from both of them was $250 each. We can put that into the inflation calculator and find out how much that is.
I haven't done that yet. Let's do that. Okay, you keep going. I'll do it right now.
Okay. So $250 each, $500 total starting capital, which seems pretty low. I mean, we'll get the inflation thing up, but I think that's still pretty low. But eventually Atari would grow into a $2 billion company.
$2 billion.
With a B.
Dollars. All right, so the year is 1972.
Yep. $250?
$250. Oh, we're going. It's going. It's going. It's doing it. You can do it. $250 in 1972 would cost $1,489.13 in 2017.
That
That's
seems
still
like a low amount of money.
not a lot of money at all.
Yeah.
That's
so for under
low.
$5,000, these guys built Atari.
Yeah. Oh, and it said if you were to buy the exact same products in 2017 and 1972, they would cost you $250. So a $250 thing now would be $41.52 then. Yeah.
Okay.
So an Xbox One S would be about $40.
So for the price of a couple of Ataris, they built the company Atari.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty crazy though, man.
Yeah.
It makes you this whole thing, by the way, of going back. I'm gonna jump off this a little bit.
Right.
Is when I just love seeing all these dudes make this stuff. Just having an idea.
Yeah.
And it's literally gonna change the world.
Yeah.
Where's
Where's this happening now? That's what I want to know. Where can I put in my $250
and I want billions
to get billions later?
Is it Bitcoin? Is it VR? Is
Who
it
knows?
arena battle royale games? What is happening?
I don't know. You got to find some other video games. It's a red ocean, they call it in marketing terms. There's a lot of sharks in there just eating people and dropping the guts everywhere. Red ocean.
Red ocean. Eating people guts, red ocean.
Right. You got to find that blue ocean of not video games.
Yeah, that's a good point.
To put your $250 in. So
I remember being in a green room one time at a comedy show when I do stand-up comedy. I don't know if I've told anyone on this podcast yet. Ooh. But and the guy was like, you got to invest in this, man. And he just went on 45-minute. And I remember seeing it the next day and being like, it's too late. It's already too late because it's on the internet now.
Yep,
It's too late.
It's gone.
Yeah, you missed it. But anyway, so the original goal of Atari was to just license games that they create to bigger companies like Midway and Bally, which we mentioned Ballyhoo last episode. They were just going to give them pinball machines, build the games for them, and then they would pay them a licensing fee and manufacture and distribute them themselves. But that changed, and we're going to get to why it changed. But we got to go through a little bit of stuff first.
Okay, take us through that stuff.
All right, I'll take you through that stuff. The company started in Santa Clara, in the industrial zone of Santa Clara, and it was just an office, a bathroom, and a workshop. And they turned the office into kind of a reception area, so it looked nice, like a real company, Their main, one of the more lucrative parts of their business was actually they owned pinball machines and distributed them and maintained them in Santa Clara. They gave them to bars and they just maintained them and made money that way.
That was a part of Atari?
That was a part of Atari's business, just to kind of stay afloat at first, was to do that.
Well, because they already had all those
machines, they're just there. So, and it kind of worked out well because this was also a great way for them to just test their machines, which is going to come up in a bit. But the first employee was Cynthia Villanueva, and she was hired as a receptionist. But then, because she was like a receptionist, because they wanted her to answer the phone and make it sound like it's a really big company. So there's a story in the book about how she would answer the phone and be like, okay, just please hold. And then her and Nolan would just wait there for like 30 seconds to act like they were going to go find Nolan.
Yeah, it takes a while. He's a busy person. You got to find him.
Huge office.
Yeah.
He's walking everywhere. And then he would answer the phone and act all bigwig. But I thought that was pretty funny. But eventually, she started actually helping with the construction of cabinets and electronic components. She was actually just a worker in her spare time,
They were building it so fast, they needed all the hands they could get, probably.
And she worked there for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
She probably did all right if she got some stock options.
She got some stock options, too. She's doing well.
Yeah.
And the second person they hired was Al Alcorn, which is another great name.
What was this? Was he Alan Alcorn or Alcorn?
Alcorn. Is Al short for another Alcorn? This is so confusing.
It's like a Pushing Daisies character.
Yeah. Alcorn. He came over as the VP of engineering actually from, it was from a different company, but he got kind of also stolen, from another company. And he was the VP of engineering. The first task he had was Bushnell hired him to make a ping pong style game for General Electric. He said, I have a contract for General Electric for you to make a ping pong style game, and I need you to help me with it. And Al was like, okay, let's do this.
I don't remember talking about a General Electric contract yet. Did we get there?
No, because there was no General Electric contract.
That makes a lot of sense.
Nolan just lied to Al. He wanted him to get used to working with TTL transistors, the transistor to transistor logic. And he just made up a project for him to do and pretended it was important.
Wow.
But what ended up happening is Al made Pong. The game Pong.
That went okay.
Yeah, and it was way more of a success than Bushnell ever could have imagined. And it's kind of interesting because Al wanted to, I'm going to keep saying, I guess Alcorn wanted to take Computer Space, the Space War remake,
The clone,
that Bushnell created, and use those notes to make Pong. Now, Bushnell is notorious for not keeping notes and not keeping track of everything, and his notes were entirely illegible.
He does not have the attention span to do that.
Yeah, so Alcorn essentially had to make Pong from scratch, and he made it way better. Like, he took the paddle and divided it into 8 sections, and based off of where the ball hit off one of those sections was the direction it would go. So if you hit in the 2 center sections, it would go straight. If you hit it in the 2 outside of that, on either side, it would go at a certain angle, and then it would go at a 45-degree angle if it was on the way outside. And he also was the one that made it speed up.
Oh, every hit. So that way it
got harder and harder.
Because
originally it was just you'd go back and forth the same slow speed.
Well, if you had 2 people who were good at it.
Yeah, it would last a while.
Forever, yeah.
So he created and then the game was actually so popular at this one tavern. It was called Andy Cap's Tavern, and that's where they play tested. It was one of the taverns on that route we discussed earlier where they would go around. And he ended up getting a call one day being like, the game is broken, you need to come fix it. And he's like, oh no, the owner of the tavern's gonna get really mad. He's not gonna want us to be working here anymore. And what ended up happening is the game was broken because the paint can they were using to hold the coins inside was completely full and they couldn't take anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, they made so much money, and that's what told Bushnell that they needed to market this game and not Computer Space.
Yeah. So
it's pretty crazy.
Pong was it. I want to take a second to discuss the amount of lies that happen around Atari.
There's so many lies.
So he lied about the GE contract. Later on, years later, when Steve Jobs would get contracted to make Breakout for Atari, he would tell Steve Wozniak, like, hey, we need to make Breakout. Wozniak made Breakout. And then Steve Jobs was like, hey, they only paid me $1,000. Here's your half, $500, right? What really happened was Atari paid him $5,000.
What?
And a dude pocketed the rest because Steve Jobs, who was a great visionary, also kind of a scumbag.
You're also a real little scummy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of scumbaggery in the early days of this stuff. Yeah, because we're actually going to get into scummbaggery in a second, a little
boy.
more. But actually, here's the first. Actually, this is the first case of scummbaggery.
Okay.
So the first contract that Atari officially had was with Bally. Yeah, it was with Bally, and it was to make Space War a game that Bally would license and sell, like a pinball machine.
Sure.
And then what ended up happening is he got Space War to go in a bidding war with Midway. They were going back and forth about it. Mm-hmm. But when he learned how successful Pong was, he started pushing that.
Yeah.
Then he learned how much money he could make on Pong if he didn't go through them, that he lied to both companies. He went to Bally and he said, Midway just told me they weren't interested. Are you still interested? And Bally's like, well, why are they saying no? No, we're not interested at all. And then he went to Midway and was like, Bally said they're not interested. Are you interested? And they're like, no, because Bally's, if there's something wrong with your game, no, we're not interested. And that's how he made it so he seemed to have like a good relationship with the two, because he was like, we might license games to them in the future.
Sure, he didn't want to burn a bridge.
But I want to make Pong into a game, and I want to manufacture it, and I want to make all the money. And so that's the first scummy thing he did. The second scummy thing he did is, remember Ralph Baer of Magnavox Odyssey?
Oh, the homie, the progenitor of all video games.
Nolan Bushnell not so graciously stole this idea of Pong from
I do remember
Ralph
the discussion of Ralph Baer's Pong game.
Yeah, so
Ping pong.
they said, so Ralph Baer, unlike Nolan Bushnell, was meticulous in keeping an archive of notes, and he filed all sorts of patents. Like, he filed the patent to put images on a TV screen.
That's nuts.
Yeah, for video games.
That's
like,
even crazy to think about now that somebody could patent something like that. 'Cause it's so ubiquitous.
Yeah, and like again, like that, those patents don't hold up now, I'm sure. But back then, like, you could patent stuff like that. And he actually patented a ping pong video game. So when Nolan Bushnell ended up releasing this, and he's saying, I'm going to do this, Ralph Baer was instantly on him. Like, no, you can't do this.
I got
I have
patents.
patents. There's no way you can do this. And they went back and forth a bunch, and there were lawyers involved. And in the end, Bushnell learned it would be way cheaper for him to settle. Because if you think, I think the lawyer in the book said if he went to court, it would be $1.5 million. And this is in the 70s.
Yeah, so put that in the inflation calculator.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So, and what ended up happening, though, is Bushnell was kind of clever, where he's like, how about this? Instead of me paying you royalties, I pay you a licensing fee, and then I'm the one that gets to use it only.
You just buy them out.
Yeah, and Ralph Baer was like, yeah, sure. I mean, what are you no one wants this ping pong game. Whatever, sure. And so I think it ended up being $700,000, which is not a lot for a licensing fee.
Not when you think about what it would eventually go on to do.
Yeah. So he did that, and then no one really thought about it. And I think they also had a thing in their contract. There was a clause that anything that Atari released in the next year, Magnavox and Ralph Baer would own.
Oh.
And that was at the Consumer Electronics Expo in, I think, 70, I guess it was like 72, 73. Sorry for the date there. I have 72 written down, but I don't know if that's correct. And then actually, so what happened was Nolan Bushnell waited a full year and 1 week before he released Pong, just so that wouldn't be owned by Magnavox.
Wow.
Another scummy thing.
Scummy thing, but, well, I say but as if this invalidates the scumminess. Totally scummy. But it shows the foresight he had for this, because he knew how big this game was going to be, that he made all the right business decisions
He
for
did.
himself.
That's what you look, because you can't get mad at Nolan Bushnell, because you look at it and you're like, this guy knew how to run a business.
He knew what he was doing, and he knew that he had a hit on his hands, and he waited long enough. He was patient enough.
Yeah, and the other ingenious thing about this contract he had, this licensing with Magnavox, is Magnavox went after anyone else who tried to make a Pong-style game and either sued them or made them pay royalty fees. So in reality, like, Magnavox made a ton of money off of this.
They did all right.
Yeah, they did fine. Like, and in fact, I think in the end, Ralph Baer was getting upset about it, and it was like, people were asking why is he upset that Nolan Bushnell's considered the father of video games and not Ralph Baer, and he's like, I made so much money off of Pong.
I'm good.
He's like, I'm fine. Like I have enough.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was just, it's pretty crazy. This whole thing was very much like businessy.
Yeah.
These 2 chapters were very business oriented.
Yeah.
I think there was the way the last chapter ended, which I thought was really interesting, is they mentioned how Nolan Bushnell and Ralph Baer met at a conference years and years later, and Nolan introduced Ralph as the father of video games to this guy, and then Ralph was like, "Why couldn't you tell the press that?"
Yeah.
Because it was like an imaging thing,
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy though, man.
And Nolan Bushnell had actually seen the Odyssey at a trade show.
That was the
years before.
Okay,
yeah.
that's where I'm pulling 1973 from. Yeah, that was in Phoenix, Arizona, May 24th, 1972. There were witnesses that saw Nolan Bushnell play Pong on the Magnavox Odyssey.
Yeah, because that's important in establishing like whether or not he knew what he was stealing, right?
Yeah, in fact, I think actually this was 1976 was the lawsuit and everything. So
Okay.
yeah, those are the years for that. Yeah, but this was kind of a very different story than the first episode.
Yeah.
It was very much like back and forth, drama, intrigue, scumbaggery, all over the place.
Oh man.
Yeah, makes you think it's kind of crazy how it started.
Yeah. There's and like this is sort of the first of those like wars that happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
It gets so messy and so dirty.
We're gonna have a hard time keeping track of all the hot goss coming your way.
Oh man, so much gossip.
So much hot gossip. I think this was great, and I didn't know, like, because we're kind of getting into a realm that I really don't know anything about, and it's very exciting for me as I read along in this book. Because you know a lot, you know some about this a little bit. You've dabbled.
I know some stuff. I've done my own research online in the past, and like some of this stuff is familiar to me. Some of it's not, though. It's nice to have it told in like a chronological kind of thing.
Again, you can get the book The Ultimate History of Video Games by Stephen Kent on Kindle for $5.
Yeah, super worth if you want to follow along with our little book club here.
Yeah, and the paper book though is really nice. I have the paper copy and I really like it.
It's nice and thick, looks cool on the shelf.
It does. You can go on a coffee table and look very pretty.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Do you want to go into what are we playing right now?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still playing the same stuff. I played some Fortnite still on my phone. Playing some Persona still. We played Mobile.
That's what I want to talk about. Is that PUBG Mobile? Because it's actually it upsets me how much better it runs than on my Xbox, and it plays so well.
And it's actually fun. I mean, I guess so. The what I keep hearing is that they pack your first few games full of bots.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we seem really good.
Yeah, so we feel like we're really good because we see other people and they don't shoot at us and we just kill them.
Yeah,
but we did get number 2 in duos.
Yeah, we did.
So we had to be going up against another human at that point.
I think we killed some because I feel like the bot names are very much like little 4-digit GR2 or whatever like
just
that.
Like random generated names.
Yeah, so I feel like we definitely murked some real people there, you know, feeling alive. Let's not sell ourselves short, Tyler.
All right.
You know, we drove in a car.
We did, and on a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, the car driving controls in the phone game are way better than the controls on the Xbox game. I don't know what it is in the Xbox, but you'll be driving a car and it'll just start flipping in the air for no reason. And then you would do some sweet tricks and land and stuff, which is pretty cool.
I do like all the daily challenges that they have too. That I don't think is in the PC or
It's
Xbox
got so much progression compared to the, and that doesn't seem like it's very hard to add that kind of thing in.
Well, one of the things that I really love about the Fortnite mobile is that it syncs up with what your Xbox or your PC or whatever you're playing on, which I think is really cool. So you very much feel like you're playing the same game on your phone as you are on your PC.
Definitely.
I wish I had that with PUBG.
Yeah, we played Fortnite that one time. It was really fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to play these games, these battle royale games, in a room.
Yeah.
With your friend, just being in, like Tyler and I just being in the same room playing it was really fun.
Yeah.
The other game I wanted to talk about is I'm playing Sea of Thieves.
Ooh, how's that going?
Sea of Thieves is very fun if you have people to play it with.
Okay.
That's my review of it. You can play solo, but it's just gonna get. It feels like, and this I don't know where I read this, but this guy described it where he's like, it feels kind of lonely. Because you're on this ocean all by yourself and you're just like running around kind of killing skeletons and fetching treasure, and then you'll drop it off and they'll give you some money and you'll just be like, all right, here I am on this beautiful island, just with no friends.
What's the point?
What is the point? It's still really fun. The ship battling is super fun. Just that alone, just trying to get the cannonball to go slightly under the surface of the water to get it. So, and what I recommend people do, and this is what I did, is I used my 14-day trial of Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm playing it for free for 2 weeks, and if I like it, I'll pay them $10 for the next month of it, and then I'm sure by then I'd be tired of it, and I'll just cancel it.
That's
but
pretty cool that it launched on Game Pass, though, because it's like a movie that goes straight to Netflix almost.
Yeah, it's what it does. It does feel like that. I really like it, and I should say, like, I don't want to like dog on it because it looks amazing.
Ooh,
like the
that
animation
water
and the
looks so good.
water, it looks so pretty, and it's very different. Like, just you have fun sailing in this video. Like, it's kind of like a teamwork thing. Like, you have to have in the galleon, you have to have one person on the helm, 2 people on the sails, and we had one person kind of looking out for people or being down below, like bailing out. Because the funniest thing that happened one time is my friend and I were playing, just the 2 of us, and we're at a shipwreck and we're getting all this treasure and we're feeling like really good about ourselves, and then our ship just sank for no reason, and we have no idea why it happened, but we weren't watching. He was in the crow's nest, so I watched him just slowly go down on the top of the ship while I'm like holding a treasure chest waiting as he falls in the ocean. But yeah, Sea of Thieves is it's fun, but I do give the disclaimer that it's more fun with friends.
Yeah.
And if you try to play by yourself with random strangers, they'll like lock you up and throw you in the brig, and then you just sit there, and it's kind of dumb.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, because they're trusting people to be nice on the internet, and that's really hard to do. Yeah,
Big mistake.
So I feel pretty good about today though with this thing.
Yeah.
I feel good. We're going to cover the next 2 chapters after this.
Yeah, we're rolling.
Which gets more into this early video game gossip.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited. Do you have anything you want to discuss or talk about with the people on this thing? Or
No parting thoughts?
no parting thoughts?
Nope. Just hit that next button. Let's listen to the next episode.
Let's listen to the next episode. You know what? Let's just stop it right now.
That's
and
what's so
listen to the
nice
next one.
about this is you can start at the beginning and you can just keep clicking next, especially if you're finding this 10 years later. Hello from the past.
Oh yeah, that's the best when you find a podcast that's all done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
you
get that.
can just blow through it. It's like watching
Binge
The Office
listen.
now.
It is.
Yeah.
We want to be binge worthy.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for. If you want to contact any of us, either one of us, on Twitter, I have Twitter. It's at mecoletta on Twitter. It's at MECOLETTA.
Contact Mike.
You can contact me with any messages you have for Tyler. If you're like, hey, Tyler, what's your thoughts on this? Just message me on it, okay? I'll get to him, and then I'll tweet back at you. Don't even worry about it. Maybe I'll lie and say I talked to him, and then I'll give you my opinion, but you never know.
Yeah.
That's just for you to find out.
Maybe I'll get back on the old Twitter soon, too, if there's demand.
Did you have a Twitter?
Yes, I do have a Twitter.
You do?
Yeah, it's at SneakerElf, SNEA.
Just follow Tyler.
KERELPH. I can't guarantee that I will
He'll see your
see
notification
it
or anything.
Yeah, I do have it on my phone. I think that if somebody were to at me, I would see it, but I haven't tweeted in months. So.
You know, it's one of those things where you don't want to look at it sometimes with the current events in the world.
Yeah.
I do stand-up comedy. You can go to colettacomedy.com and check me out there and see where I will be. Also, we're on the Podaholics Network. If you want to podaholics.com, they got great videos up there. I have another show called Hug Life, another podcast I do with a comedian named Monica Nevi. That's really fun. It's about positivity. And that is the way the news goes.
We did it.
We did it. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. Just want to let you know we do have an email now. It's codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.
This has been a Podaholics Comedy Network presentation. Podaholics.com